Hey everybody, Dan here with Pain Free You. Do you distrust your body? Here's how you can trust it more. So we'll get to that in a second. Hope everybody's rocking, doing well. Welcome to the weekend. Looking for a little feedback. We've been changing up the thumbnail images for these videos and looking for some feedback. Do you like it? A little bit more colorful, a little bit more active? So give us some feedback if you would. All right. Do you distrust your body? And I know a lot of people who say, yeah, my body is really not doing well. I've got these pains, I've got these symptoms, I've got digestive things, I got migraines, I've got this visual aura stuff going on, I've got things that doctors are calling neuropathies, I've got tingling, numbness, weakness, got all sorts of stuff, tremors, whatever. So it's really easy to start to distrust your body. All right, so I just come from this core belief that the body knows what to do. And yes, there are insults to the body. There are physical injuries. There are things that are not good for us. But for the most part, we have such a miraculous immune system, detoxification system, and healing system, right? If you don't trust your body, think back to sometime when you may have burnt yourself in the kitchen or perhaps cut yourself, whether it be working on something or, cutting something in the kitchen, you cut yourself. Or think back to a child, yourself, if you fell, you skinned your knee, you ripped it up pretty good, or you got a dog bite or something happened. And maybe it was you as a child, maybe it was, your own child or a grandchild, and you see that happen. I knew kids in my neighborhood who fell and broke their arms, broke their legs. They were back playing 6 weeks later. And I'm asking you to remember these healing episodes in your life as evidence that the body knows how to heal. It truly does. I have a story that I tell in my book about this gentleman. Goes by the name Frenchie, and he rides dirt bikes. And he teaches dirt bikes, and he races dirt bikes at a professional level, albeit in the 50-year-old age category. And this guy's crashed more times than he could probably count. And he's broken hundreds of bones, had hundreds of surgeries. But the body heals. And he doesn't panic about it because it's happened so many times, he just knows to trust his body. So if you're distrusting your body because of symptoms, let's take it up a few steps up and ask yourself, what are the beliefs that the brain currently has about the condition of your body? If you've got an MRI and the doctor says, oh, you got a bulging or herniated disc, okay, it's easy to buy into that. Oh, no. But as Dr. Sarno discovered and, loudly proclaimed, those are normal abnormalities. So many people have them. A big majority of people have them, but don't have any symptoms. And so, the fact that your doctor says, look, you got a bulge or a herniation or this is, something that's wrong, it may or may not be the case. Right? My mom lives in a senior living facility, assisted living, and she lives with a whole bunch of 85 to 95-year-old people. And I ask her, most times I visit, hey, Mom, who's complaining about chronic pain? She says, almost never. They're complaining that their grandkids or their kids don't visit enough, or that the food came out cold from the dining hall. So it's interesting that at the older ages, they're not complaining about chronic pain in vast numbers. But yet you can almost guarantee if you did MRIs or X-rays, these people are going to be riddled with arthritis and abnormalities, but they're not hurting. So, do you distrust your body? And why? Because of the symptoms themselves? Well, That's where the education comes in. Really important to do knowledge acquisition to figure out how this brilliant system functions. Understand the brain's not torturing you or punishing you or making your life a living hell, which I've heard people say recently. It's not. The brain's primary sole job is survival. Right below that is safety. And if you can't find joy, you know where happiness is on the list? It's below survival and safety. So if you're not happy, focus on safety. Once the brain feels safe, the joy will start to return to your life. You'll be able to smile more, laugh more, enjoy yourself more. So, what do we want to do here? We want to learn what's going on. A great place to do that would be my book, painfreeyoubook.com. It's called Pain Free You, Teach Your Brain to End Your Pain. Now, it works for other symptoms besides pain. So that's a great place to really get a deep dive into how this system works, get some knowledge. And for those folks who say, I've watched a lot of your videos, Dan, I know what you're going to say in the book. I had a lot of people in the book reviews say, I thought I knew what Dan was going to say, but I got a lot out of this book. There was more to it than I expected. So I'll encourage you to pick it up if you don't have it yet. And if you do have it, go ahead back to Amazon and leave a book review if you would. All that said, so how do we start to trust the body more? Go back and remember all those healing episodes for you and people you knew. Burns, cuts, falls, broken bones, everything else. Maybe even look at YouTube and say, miracle healing, whatever it may be. If you want to, you can gather that insight, but you probably have enough experience yourself of the time you cut yourself pretty bad and you watched it grow itself back together with a little bit of, disinfectant and bandages, and before you knew it, it was done. And also, more important, the pain didn't last very long, did it? Nope, because when the body heals, it starts to turn off the pain, which is a warning signal. Obviously, if you fall and you bang up your knee, it's going to hurt because your brain needs to warn you and say, hey, you just banged your knee. Be careful. In the case of, somebody I know broke their ankle running through the woods, had the pain every step. Why? Because the brain was saying, get off that ankle. You busted it. So once the brain feels safe, the walking boot was on, using crutches, what happened to the pain? It was considerably lower because the brain felt safe. So if you don't trust your body, accurate knowledge, the body knows how to heal. The body knows how to digest. The body knows how to temperature regulate. The body knows how to fight true, legitimate illness. Sometimes we need a little bit of help, but for these chronic conditions, most likely it's the brain's misperception that's causing these symptoms. So we just added a new page to the website. If you go to painfreeyou.com, click on the top menu item, Get Help. There is a common conditions list, which we've just added to the website. And if you're kind of curious if your condition is there, look for it. And if you scroll to the bottom, the FIT assessment is there, and that's readily available to you. You can also download the assessment from the book by going to painfreeyou.com, entering your name and email, and just go ahead, and it'll bring you to the page where you can download the assessment. That's one where you can kind of print it out and use a marker and check off the boxes. So how do you trust your body? Just don't forget, the body heals. The body knows what to do. We don't need to assist it when it comes to healing sometimes. Maybe antibiotics in the case of a true viral bacterial infection. So you're in the right place, folks. Teach the brain. You can end your pain and other symptoms. Accurate knowledge, that's a good place to start. So, love you folks, and as always, we'll see you tomorrow. Take care.